Doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We'll start it off with the hottest topic around the Saints right now. All over social media, everywhere, everybody's talking about it. Shedeur Sanders is the talk of the town right now on social media about who the Saints, who people want the Saints to take. What is the likeliness of that actually happening?
At pick 9, I don't think it's great. I mean, he's not. I like him. I like him as a player. I'd like him better closer to their pick at 40 than I would at pick 9. I think he's very clearly the second or third quarterback in a weak quarterback class, and picking that guy at 9. I mean, just the value's tough. I think it's going to be hard to justify that value. And, I think the thing that I will point out about him, and the thing that probably makes me most nervous about him, is that we're having this conversation, and the conversation is if Cleveland, who has Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback right now, passes on him, and if the Giants, who have Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback, pass on him, that alone gives me a little bit of a shiver.
Yeah.
But then it's okay if he gets past 2 and 3, and then he gets past 9, he might go to 21, and if he doesn't go to 21, he's going in the second round. And it's like, whoa. When is the last time like QB2 in any class has been like that's been the conversation around him? I mean that's tough. I mean, I think he's a guy that most teams probably have graded in the second round. I've talked to a bunch of teams, and they all feel he's a second round guy. Now, granted, quarterbacks typically get drafted way higher than where you have them graded. But I mean, I guess the point is that I don't feel like he's a sure thing. I think he's incredibly smart when you watch him play. I think he sees the field incredibly well. I think he's insanely accurate. I think he has really good decision making most of the time. I don't see an elite arm, and I don't see a guy with a lot of juice in his legs. And the fact is, in 2025, like having a quarterback that's got to play from the pocket is a very, very tough way to win games. I mean, Jared Goff does it behind the best line in the league, but I mean, I would say 20 of the quarterbacks in the league that have success are guys that can, move around a little bit. And you'll find plays where Shedeur's, making plays out of the pocket and all that. Like he can definitely do it, but I wouldn't paint it as his, his strength where, I think if you're making a top 10 pick for a quarterback and you want to enhance the odds of success, like they're going to have that ability, and that's going to be something that's at the top of their scouting report. And that, like, just for me, that would be the type of quarterback I want in this era of football. If you're taking someone that can't do that, I feel like you're compromising a little bit. And to me, that's a later first round pick, second round pick. So look, I mean, if he's actually sitting there at 9, I don't know. People don't typically tell you exactly who they draft and what they're going to do. I would be a little bit surprised by it, just from watching it and seeing what he can do. But I mean, obviously, if they selected that player, outside of the whole value conversation, I mean, I'd be excited to watch it and see what happens. I think it brings some juice to the team. But if it doesn't work, I mean, the juice goes away kind of quick. But I think he'll be a decent NFL quarterback. I just don't, I'm blown away by some of the stuff Cam Ward can do. I think, Tyler Shuck has like an amazing arm and ability to run. He's just 45 years old. Shedeur has some things that I think, you got to make sure you got a plan to put him in a position to succeed. I think a lot of the stuff we talk about with like, hey, you got to have a good line, good receiver. Like, I think you need those same things. And, again, top 10, I want to be able to draft a guy that kind of elevates everyone a little bit more, and you're winning because of him. And I feel like Shedeur's more of a high-level win-with quarterback.
And I guess it would give you a sense of direction of what the Saints are trying to do, right? If they take a quarterback, if Shedeur falls in your lap at 9, starting with a new regime, a new head coach that's very heavily offensively driven, I think that would be like, oh, it's a chance to get your guy, but I don't want them to feel like they have to take him just because he's there. If they are going quarterback, and it feels like, I don't know if this is a smokescreen or not, but it feels like it's everywhere all of a sudden. But when you think about Kellen Moore's history and what he had at the Philadelphia Eagles, you've obviously seen Jalen Milroe's name pop up quite a bit. Is that somebody that obviously fits some of the billing that you're talking about? Mobile guy, has a little bit of Jalen Hurts in him, I would imagine. Is that a direction you could see them going? Maybe not in the first, but if you have the potential at 9 to trade back, which the Saints never do, and Shedeur's there, that could be an option, maybe?
I could see Milroe in like the third or fourth round, maybe. I mean, I think if you like, you're looking at these guys. I think it's Ward, Shedeur, Shuck, Dart. I think those are probably the first ones that kind of come off. I don't see Milroe in that first round, second round mix, really, not early second round at least. So I mean, if he's there, yeah. I mean, if you like him as a developmental player, I would be all for that. Like, he does all the other stuff well. It's the quarterback part of it that I think needs some development. But if you got a good coaching staff, you can bring him in and develop him. I would be all for that. I'm all for any project, that you're taking third, fourth round. I'm with swinging the bat on anybody in that range. If you see anything that you think you can develop, and if you miss, you miss. Like, I'm good with that. I'm just a little bit scared. I'm scared in the top 10. Like, if you miss at a top 10 quarterback, I think you're setting yourself back like 2 years, at least, like, because you're riding with them the first year and the second year, and then your regime's off to a really bad start. You miss the opportunity to get another player. I mean, I like Shedeur a lot if you could trade back into the end of the first round. And it's just, if you're missing out on a premium talent and missing on that pick, it scares me. And I just don't see can't miss with them. And I hate the way this conversation is going, because I feel like I'm the guy like screaming against him, and I'm not. Like, I think I think there's a lot of stuff I like about him, and there's a lot of stuff that I would be really excited about getting him into the building. But it just isn't, like, just at 9, I'm like, man, like, this is not a guy that I would watch any other year and be like, this is an absolute top 10 pick. You have to get this guy. He's like falling in these like mocks, and it kind of makes you feel a little bit scared. And Lloyd, I think you made a good point. Like, the thing about drafting you don't want to draft one because you have to draft one. You want to draft one because you want to draft one. And you don't want to be sitting there and being like, damn, we have to take this quarterback because he's available at the 9th pick. I feel like that's how huge mistakes get made. So if they're taking him at 9, I hope they're taking him at 9 with the, like, oh my God, we're the luckiest people in the world, and these other teams are all dumb as hell. Like, that's really what I want it to feel like. And I don't get the sense that's how people view him right now. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of smart people that, you talk to people, and like, look, and that's almost what's an oxymoron, because like people miss on quarterback drafting all the time. So like, you're going to the people. Yeah, you're going to the people that miss and get these evaluations wrong every single year and draft the wrong guys every year for their opinion. So maybe they're the the dummies in the room, and I'm listening to the dummies. Like, I don't know, but I would just I would feel better about him at 20 than if the Steelers get him at 21, like, that's okay. That feels like the right range. At 9, it just feels a little rich.
It does feel like a bit of a reach, especially with everything considering with the current situation. Because if the Saints do go quarterback at 9, I think that sends a very telling message to your starting quarterback at the moment. But if they don't, where do you see them leaning? Because it is getting to nut cutting time for the draft. We have to, as much conjecture as there's been. Do you have anything kind of circled around of not what you expect, but what you think the Saints need at 9 if they stay pat?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, if you draft Shedeur at 9, I mean, yeah, definitely, it's the Shedeur anyway. Like, if you draft any quarterback in like the first, early second, that's a signal that it's if you go at 9 or 40, or you trade up to get one somewhere, like, that's the end of there. Like, that's you're a lame duck. You're out of here. Like, maybe you even look at. I would assume you probably go a year and you don't want to make a move, but I mean, I assume you're answering the phone then about the possibility of a trade. After the draft, you can do the June 2nd stuff, and it changes the cap hit, and it will become affordable to trade him at that point. So I would think all options are on the table, even at 40. Like, I think at 40, if you draft Chuck, he's 26 years old, I think. Like, I think at that point, like, you're looking, and is this guy ready? And I think you're answering the phone. The odds of trading him, I think, would be very low. But I think it's definitely a possibility, and you're willing to entertain those calls at that point. Which way they lean, though, if they don't go QB, I think it's the same guys I've been saying the whole time. I think it's Genty. I think it's Warren. I'd move Kelvin Banks up into there. I think Will Johnson's probably an option. I think there's a handful of guys that make a lot of sense at that spot at 9.
And outside of 9, when obviously a lot of the discussions around the first round top 10 pick, what do you see the Saints doing with some of those other picks, like pick 40 and later on in the draft? Yeah,
so 40, I think ideally, the ideal scenario for me is you get a playmaker or a pass rusher or a cornerback at 9. You're sitting at 40. The ideal thing would be like one of these other quarterbacks that you. I don't think that. I think it's hard to love any of the quarterbacks in this class because, like I said, I think it's a weak quarterback class overall. But I think one of these quarterbacks that you like if there's one that you really like, them sitting there at 40 would be great. Barring that, I think if you don't get your corner at 9, which I think you probably won't, like I don't. Like I don't see it there. I don't see it there. Like I'm trying to think. Like I could see Will Johnson going there, but again, that's another guy I like a few spots lower. Like maybe you trade back, but I think they probably try to get playmaker at 9, and then at 40, I think you're looking at one of these corners, and there's Amos, and then Siobhan Ravel, the East Carolina guy, really good player. I think you'd be okay with either one of them, and then I think coming into the third round with those picks, the door is. Oh, like you need running back, you need tight end, you need wide receiver, you need pass rusher, you could use a linebacker, you could use safety. Like I think your options are wide open. I mean, it's really hard to go through one of these mock drafts and kind of address every position you want to look at going down the board. And I think one of the best picks they could make, and I think it's a pick everyone would absolutely hate and be disgusted by. I really feel like a tackle at 9. Like if you can get Banks. I think he's going to the Jets, but I think if you can get Banks, like it's a good pick. Like you're building out that offensive line. You have your bookend tackles on with Fuaga and Banks there. Penning's in the last year of his contract. Maybe you try to kick him inside the guard. I don't think anybody's ever seen him as a guard, but you could try him at guard for a year. If he can do it, you address that need, and you're kind of set up to go next year. And it would feel disgusting just given how many assets they've put on that line over the years and the fact that they can go back there and do it again. But, I think it's a need, and it's not the biggest need right now. You don't have to get a tackle for this year's team, but I think it would be the best move for the 2026 team, the 2027 team, 28, like just building that out and being set there. And, where this team's at, I don't think you should be looking at it through the prism of like, no, you got to like prioritize what's good for 25 over 26. I think you got to be looking more toward the future. And that would be a good pick for the future, especially in a draft where, I feel like there's like three real top 10 guys in this draft, maybe 15 total first rounders. And then after that, like it flattens out. And in a draft where there isn't a lot of top end talent, like taking the tackle and being good there, I think it could be a smart play.
Speaking of mock drafts, we saw you do yours live the other night. How did you think your experience went with the mock draft? We did one right before. We've probably done 4 on the show, and we've had we've had Travis Hunter fall to us at 9 pretty much every time. But how did your experience go doing it? Yeah, we were like, oh, of course. We keep taking it. We're like, I mean, we'd be a fool not to. But how did your experience go with the PFF mock draft? Because ours on our end has been a crapshoot.
Yeah, there's no way that's going to happen. But look, like we were doing them. When Joel Erickson, we were working at the Advocate, like we kind of, I honestly feel like we were kind of the pioneers of doing the verse mock draft machine stories. Like I really feel like we were. Nobody was doing them then, but like Lattimore kept falling to us in 17, and it was like, this is ridiculous. Like we can't, we can't take him. Like he's gonna go way higher, and then he fell, and then it was like, wait, this is like the validation for doing it like this because like wacky stuff happens in the draft all the time, and you never know. I felt like it went okay. I can't remember everybody I got. I know I got Tyler Warren at 9. I like him a lot there. Second round, I think I got my cornerback. I can't remember who my third rounder. Oh, I took Charles Grant, the tackle from William and Mary, really athletic guy. That felt like a Saints pick, small school tackle. Teron just retired this week, so kind of the same mold there. Shout out to him. I can't remember who my other guy was in the third, but yeah, I felt like I came out of it pretty decently. But again, you go through it and you don't get everyone you want. I got Shuck in the 4th. Can't remember who else, but yeah, I mean, you go through it and you feel like, man, I got the playmaker, I got a corner, I got a offensive lineman, but I did not get the pass rusher. I did not get the other safety I want. I did not get, it's just there's a handful of needs that it's just going to be really hard to address them where you feel like you're walking away from the draft like I got all the answers. Like it's just very hard to feel that way overall. So, it's going to be interesting. I don't see the value in Shedeur, but like low key, like I'm hoping for it because I think it would be the most exciting thing for this team, and it's like a boring team overall.
Right.
And at least for a little while, it would inject a lot of life and it would make a lot of people happy. So I mean, I'm always for that. I just don't like the value.
I'm in the exact same boat. I've talked myself into it because I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was like, you know what? At least it makes it move a little bit. Where you're like, all right, Shedeur Sanders on the Saints, him in the uniform, like the pop that it would get, where you're no longer kind of, I don't want to say laughed at, but a little bit laughed at. It's like, oh, they got something going over there. Kellen Moore, they bring in Shedeur. What do you think the impact of having his, I guess, the bravado of his family around? If you have Carr stick around, continue to be the starter, and Shedeur learns behind him, but then you obviously have the omnipresent Prime lurking in the wind.
Yeah, I think he'd play it cool. I think it'd be cool for the first year. I think they understand what the system would be, and I don't think Dion's gonna undermine him like that. Not at at the beginning. I don't think he's gonna be looking to undermine the team or anything like that. And I don't really see it long term either. I mean, I think he's a football guy, and I think he'll be able to respect football decisions and all that stuff. I mean, it's definitely noisier than it would be in other situations. If they feel like they're being done wrong, I mean, yeah, there's always the possibility of Dion's going to make a comment and it's going to be out there and it's going to be loud. I think there's definitely some inherent like pressure there that wouldn't exist just due to the setup of it. But ultimately, I can't see it being a thing in year one. Like if Shedeur's coming to sit and learn for a year, I think they respect that situation. I think just at some point you got to feel like you got a fair shot. And if there was never a fair shot, then I think at that point, you start to hear some noise or whatever. But it's something you got to be aware of, but I don't see it being a huge problem. But here's my biggest thing about why I don't think this is going to happen. If you are legitimately drafting someone, the dad isn't going on TV at a pro day, one of the most famous people in football, in telling the world in a very lightly veiled way, like, oh, the Saints. Like, to me, looks more like a play where, okay, if he doesn't get drafted at 3 and it's not 9, then what happens? Mm-hmm. Like, it could be a free fall. So to me, that felt like Dion playing the agent. Currently, Shedeur doesn't have an agent. Like, to me, that's Dion seeing it, knowing what he needs to do, and kind of sending a signal out there to like, okay, someone needs to come up to 8 to get him because the Saints are going to take him. And I think what's going to happen over the next 15 days, that's how far away the draft is, I think. I think anyone, you see the Milroe report comes out, people are linking them to the Saints. When those things come out, I'm telling you as a reporter, like inside baseball type thing here, when those things come out, it's someone trying to make sure that other teams know that this team with the need at the position is looking at this player. So if you want them, you got to get ahead of them. Like, that's what they're trying to get out there. Hey, these are the teams that want them. Here's the signal. Hey, like, go get them. I kind of feel like that's what it is. If the Saints were looking to draft Shedeur, I think that it would be, hey, like, keep this quiet. Mm-hmm. Let's not tell everyone we want to draft him. That's hey, they're going to draft him. You better come get him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Look over here.
I've just never seen it work like that. Yeah. I've just never seen it done like that.
You're so right.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're not the number 1 overall pick. I mean, it was definitely something that caught my eye.
You have the most sensitive quarterback in the league, right, and you'd be like, whoa, we're taking one. Like, oh, you didn't want to talk to me about it first? Right. Like, yeah, that's not how it works. It's definitely this is an agent play. I think you're spot on. Yes. Of like, let's try to get this thing, like the PR ball rolling on, hey, you got to go up and get my guy, or else he's gonna be gone. And
yeah, because like going back to it. Yeah, going back to it, it's if it's not 9, we're talking about him dropping 12 spots later. Like, somebody else could jump in there or whatever, but there really isn't another landing spot that anyone can see until Pittsburgh. Maybe Miami takes him to get him behind Tua or something like that, or I guess the Rams could maybe consider coming up or something. But it's tough. It's a tough spot. So I mean, to me, it kind of felt like let's try to make sure he gets in the top 10. And if you're on the outside looking in, and this is the reason why I think like they're all getting mocked. He's getting mocked here by everybody and all that. I think if you're on the outside looking in, it would look crazy for them to not take him at 9 if he's sitting there. Like, they have a lame duck quarterback. Not publicly, but like, played his hand to try to get out of here a couple months ago to try to get traded. You kind of know the Saints want to move on. First-year head coach, no way this is the quarterback that he would have handpicked for himself. it seems like a very logical spot to put him. And if you're putting together one of these mock drafts, you know, I've done it myself. Like you go, you look at the needs, you try to slot people in there. You're trying to find a spot for everybody, trying to see how it fits. And, oh, it makes sense. And I'm sure, like, you know, Mel Kiper, all these people that do these things, they're talking to everybody in the league. Like everybody in the league would probably thinks the Saints are going to take Shedeur too, because it makes sense. Like it's the most sensible spot. So I get why it's happening. I would just be surprised by it. Like I personally would be surprised by it. You know, but everybody has their bit of info, and draft season, some people are right and some people are wrong, and we're going to find out, and that's kind of what makes it fun.
And you do it all again next year.
Yep.
But we appreciate your time this morning and all the insight, of course. Enjoy the continuous draft questions as the date and the clock ticks on. We appreciate you again and have a great day.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thank you,
Bob.
Yeah, great stuff there. Of course, it is. I do agree with him in the mindset of if Shedeur is there at 9, it would be very hard to pass up on, like just from an outside looking in, because
dude, like I said, I was thinking
position
this
you're
would
in
be awesome.
Yeah, just a complete almost culture shock of bringing joy and excitement and interest and media relativity, like just being,
Great,